Today on Tricks Fix, I'm bringing you the ultimate Presesh warm-up. So I start with front kicks. It's just very easy. Hamstrings are really important to warm up. I've got lots of clicks and cracking bones from 6 years of tricking, so this gets them all out before my session. Next up's the backward kicks. Really good for like when you're doing Webster swings or front swings. Plus, you got to get the legs stretched out in every direction for your kicks and everything like that. It's important when you're doing this one, keep your chest up, get your leg as high as you can, but you don't want to kick into center split flexibility. You want to keep them as square as possible because you'll do the center split one later on. And you want to focus on your weaknesses as well. You don't want to be doing something you're already good at necessarily, especially with stretching. This next one is really good for the knees and the hips as well. Just pulling the foot up so that your knee and your ankle is horizontal. My knees tend to click on this one, and it gets a good stretch in the butt as well. This one is specifically for the butt. I always forget to do this one, but I always get reminded by the soreness after the session, so got to make sure you do that one. Here's more of a center split flexibility. When I do these, I'm not doing any of these warm-up ones. I'm not necessarily focusing on any type of form or anything. I'm just swinging my legs around, trying to get them warmed up. This one is focusing on kicking flexibility, just moving range of motion, because this is a warm-up, not a stretch. I focus on that stuff separately. So here we got just getting that stretch in the base leg, making sure I can raise my leg with my hip flexor. And you can't tell here, but my feet are actually both facing the same direction instead of the normal kicking stance. So both feet are facing forward for center split stretch. So I tend to have really bad ankles, so I make sure I do a really good ankle warm-up, hopping back and forth, ankles only, try not to use my knees, just to get full mobility and get them warmed up for some good landings, hopefully. I do that double leg first, and then I go into the single leg ones. You can probably tell here my left is significantly stronger than my right. If you do have that problem and one side is worse than the other, make sure you warm up your bad side more than your good side because it probably needs it or it will just continue to get worse. That's my bad side there. So this is my swing leg here. I always make sure that I do this to my ankles before I do swings. The more flexible that your ankles are, the higher probability you have of getting the swing. If your ankle gives out because of lack of mobility, then you're not going to make that swing. The more mobility, the higher chance you'll be able to hit it from any landing position. So here's my bad ankle, just starting real slow. My body reacts really well to dynamic stretches, so as you see there, I'm leaning into it, putting more and more weight, and it allows me to scooch it back the more I tend to do that. And there we go, just about the same as my left after give it a second. I do spend more time on some of these things than I'm showing in the video, but this is a good run through, and I do all of these things in the order that I'm showing you as well. So if you need a good warm-up, this is the one to follow. You can follow it move for move. So next I'm doing the wrists. I sprained my wrist recently, so I started adding this to my warm-up. Good for doing TDRs, gumbies, stuff like that. If you don't warm up your wrists or you do too many of them, it's gonna bug you. So here I'm just rotating my forearms back and forth, making sure that I'm getting all the tendons in there. And then I do this one. This one's good. You hit this one, it stretches the front really good. And if it's not enough stretch here, or then you can move your hands farther away from your knees to create a deeper angle. And make sure you're rocking back and forth, getting all the spots. And then this one's the last one. This one's mostly in case you fall and your ankle catches or your wrist catches wrong or whatever. Rocking back and forth, rotating the wrists when you can. Yep, and just like that, moving farther from the knees. Making sure you're putting weight on them, leaning into them. You can do single arm too. There I'm just shaking out the stretch. And then upper body, this is all I do. Swinging around, making everything loose. I do that all session long, but I make sure I do it before my first few tricks as well. I also warm up on the trampoline on some sessions, and I always warm up with G switches too. So things I've heard really good trickers say is that they choose one trick that warms them up, or that they can tell it's going to be a good session, and they will do that trick first. Me, for G switches, my goal is to hit 10, so I always do a bunch of G switches. I've been hitting 7, 8, 9 recently, and I'll try only 2 times or whatever. And the final thing you should be doing at sessions is pacing. That's so good because it keeps you warmed up, keeps your heart rate high, keeps your blood flow going, keeps your ankles warmed up, all that. So that's everything. This probably takes me 10, 15 minutes at the beginning of the session, so it's not a waste. You can do it before you go to the session, whatever. So yeah, I hope this helped. If you have anything to add, please comment it and share this video with anyone who doesn't warm up. Thanks.